Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to you all. It's raining here in Warangal. It's been drizzling for the last 3-4 days, and especially in
Same
the
here in
evening.
Maharashtra.
Yeah.
Same here in Maharashtra. It's raining very hard.
Some evenings we also had heavy downpours. Just give me a minute. Let me organize my slides. Yeah.
忘れかけていたこといつも君がいることどんな時も近くで生きる意味をくれたねさよなら
Are you able to see the slides? Yeah. We did discuss in the last class certain concepts or the core concepts of marketing, where we started defining what need is, how it becomes a want, and what is the difference between a need and a want, and how does demand arise, and the offerings that are made, what are the various offerings people make in the market. And we have also seen or discussed what value is and how satisfaction affects the marketability or the marketing aspect of an organization. And finally, leading to certain exchange processes or transactions which transfers the ownership from one to the other. And finally, we ended up saying that market is a set of current and the potential customers for the product. I think we should also say that market is not necessarily it is a set of people who have common needs. And these common needs are very important for us in order to be able to design our products, our services, and so on. So we will come to that a little later. Let us try to go through the slides first. The old market thinking, the sales. Did we do this yesterday? Did we see these slides in the last class? Okay. Just go through this. They were practicing mass marketing. Today, it is more distinguished marketing that people make. That means they identify, sets of segments of markets that exist.
Recording.
Yeah.
Recording. You
Oh,
didn't.
yes. Thank you. Thank you for reminding. Yes, the recording is on. So we are now concentrating on specific segments of people who have certain common needs. Market being a heterogeneous nature, being of heterogeneous nature, consisting of wide and varied clients or customers or people with different needs, we know that we cannot keep everybody happy. And this is true in almost all facts of life. So we have to be choosy when we are trying for effectiveness and for some sort of profitability for the organization, which probably leads to growth. And in that sense, if we can identify those people who are looking for certain needs which we could satisfy based on our own capabilities and capacities, then that's probably the best way to organize our efforts. So in that particular sense, specific targeted individuals or groups of people or segments of markets are being identified. And, we are trying to create value so that these customers come back to us, because the cost of creating a new customer is many times more than more than retaining a customer. In that sense, it probably costs us 5 to 10 times more in creating that awareness and bringing them to a product sort of a thing. So losing a customer in that particular sense is probably of very great. It has a great influence on the organization as such. And we like to develop such relationship with our customers and retain them. Not only retain them, but grow them. Grow with respect to the amounts that they spend. The money that they spend from their pockets, a large majority of them should be aimed at our products and our offerings. That is also another goal. In that sense, either the products that we come up with or the diversified nature of our activities would aim at such sort of spending from our customers who are loyal to us, who have, believed that there is value that we are able to create. Okay. then connect with them directly. Because of the latest technologies of communication, it is becoming more possible to have a two-way communication. Earlier, in the old sense, it was only one-way communication, either through advertisements or by slogans and radio things that we have been listening only one side with their unique selling propositions coming through and their advertisement banners. But today, it is a two-way communication that is being encouraged, where there are also blogs being developed or customer reviews being given importance, as well as customer groups being organized. In addition to this, the manufacturers or the marketeers have also been coming up with, say for example, a manufacturer or a marketer of food items comes up with recipes of various food items, how to make and what sort of dishes could be made, so on. So these are certain things of making people make use of the products that we offer more and more, and try them and get interactive and contribute to the development of this particular product and the usage of this. Yeah. And the connection with the marketing partners, this is also changing. The first one was the connection with the customers, and this is with the marketing partners. The relationship that we build with the partners, with the customers, naturally defines how well the organization is likely to. So, today, everyone within the organization is involved with the marketing aspect. Earlier, there were only sales or marketing departments who were looking after the marketing aspects. Today, even a design engineer, even the financier, everybody has to be thinking about the marketing. So marketing is everybody's job today. So within the firm as well as outside the firm. So it has become possible to market our products globally, assume responsibility for what we do. There are several laws being enacted to fix the manufacturer and the responsibilities of him. And there are also other media that has been helping us in conducting our business. Having said this, we also realize that marketing provides us utilities. There are basically 4 utilities that the marketing provides us. One is the form utility, the other one is the place utility, time utility, and the position utility. So when you when you market a product, firstly, form is not only the shape and size of a particular product, the design of a product, the quality that gets into it, and the aesthetics that go with this. So that is the form utility that we create, which would attract our customers. In addition to this, the place utility is the convenience of the customer. We provide them at their doorstep or in their nearby surroundings so that they can access the product. So the accessibility and availability of the product is given by the place utility. Similarly, when the product is required at the right time, at the right place, is what we are trying to give at the right price as well. So time utility also comes in, where we try to provide a product at the right time. Added to this, the position utility. Finally, they can own this whenever they want and the way and use it the way they wish that they can. While selling provides only position utility, we try to distinguish between marketing and selling. Selling here only provides the transfer of ownership, the possession, whereas marketing provides the rest of all, the other 3 as well. Like, the development of a product involves creation of the form and the flow of the product that we have created or the services to the customer for a profit for the exchange to take place. The main purpose of marketing is to earn maximum profit by adding maximum value to the customer, but at minimum cost. Okay, this is possible only when products or services are made available in the right form, the right time, and the right place, and in such a way that enables the customer to obtain its position. This is about the utility provided by marketing. So marketing provides 4 utilities. What are they? Form utility, place utility, time utility, and possession utility. Say for example, somebody is looking for a pair of shoes at Delhi and is ready to pay about 500 rupees for that. So the form utility is not only the size, the aesthetics, the materials that are being used, and so on and so forth. And the place utilities, it should be available in Delhi, and time utility is should be available now, not that I keep waiting for this. And position utility is available for the amount that I could afford, right? So that's the sort of marketing that we are trying to talk about. Some quotes on marketing. As we said, the purpose of a company is to create a customer. The only profit center is the customer. A business has two and only two basic functions: marketing and innovation. Marketing and innovation produce results. The rest of all are costs. Okay? So, marketing and innovation can only generate revenues for the organization. The aim of marketing is to make selling superfluous or unnecessary. And while great devices are invented in the laboratory, great products are invented in the marketing department. Marketing is too important to be left only to the marketing department. Okay, these are some of the quotes that we have to remember, which are very prominent while we think about marketing. Now, as I probably told you about a quote of a person who's working for International Monetary Fund. He says, if you want to develop a nation, it is not by creation of factories that the nation would develop, but by creating markets, you would be able to develop a nation. So that is the importance of marketing in general. So having said this, let us try to understand the simple networks of what happens in this particular process of marketing. There are two particular groups. One is the seller and the other one is a buyer, or let us call them producer and the consumer at the other end. So the producer produces goods or services and transfer that to the buyer in return for the money that is exchanged by the buyer. So the buyer gives back money for the goods and services that the manufacturing or the seller is offering. In addition to this, there is another network that is also going in. That is the communication network. The industry informs the buyer about the availability, about the features, about the access of this particular product or service in the areas of the buyer where he could probably make use of this. And in addition to this, the buyer provides feedback with respect to the satisfaction or the working of the product or the service, how satisfied they are. And probably this would become the sales data for further development or improvement or launching newer products with newer varieties, sort of, for the organization. So it seeks information while communicating what it could offer at this point of time. So this is one simple marketing system that we can think of. The importance of this exchange process that is going on is depicted here in this particular picture. Hope you are all able to see this. Yeah. At the center of the whole circuit is the government and the markets. right? And to the left is the manufacturer or the marketeer. And around us are the resources, intermediaries, and the consumers. So manufacturers procure resources from vendors for payment of money. So they receive resources and they pay money to the vendors. Similarly, they provide goods and services either through intermediaries or directly to the consumer and get back their money. And for having provided certain services like that of electricity, road and transport, and so on and so forth by the government, the manufacturer in turn has to pay back the taxes on goods and the services that they render. Similarly, either the vendors also make use of services provided by the government and they pay back taxes on the goods that they deal with. Similarly, the intermediaries also have to pay taxes. And the goods from the intermediaries gets transferred to the consumer, and the consumer again pays back money, and they also have to pay taxes to the government. And the money that is available with the consumer, having been transferred through various circuits, also reaches the vendors or the main suppliers. Okay, this is in a way a sort of a supply chain that goes on. In addition to this, the consumers are also the workforce. Therefore, they provide some sort of effort and work to the manufacturers as well as the vendors, and they get paid for that. So they make use of the payments that they receive for buying the products that they make use of in their lifetime. So this is a common understanding that we all have. Coming to the next sort of a system is the marketing system, in which we have the company at the top, which is our marketer, and which also has competitors in the market. Both the company as well as its competitors offer their products and services either directly to the end user or the consumer or through intermediaries. It is not only the products and services, but also the information, advertisement, and the access and the possession utilities, all the utilities are provided through the intermediaries. And the company, along with its competitors, are also serviced by the suppliers. And all these elements consist, if we can say this as micro environment, they are all bound by the macro environment around it. There is an environment around in which all these elements operate. So they are dependent on a larger environment in which they have been performing. In this particular supply chain that we have, it is not enough that we operate well. If we are to succeed, if we are to grow, if we are to perform our own activities in much better sense, then what is required is not only the performance at the company level, but also the intermediaries, the suppliers, and finally the well-being of the customer or the end user of the particular product. So in this particular sense, we are trying to build relationship with all the elements within the organization, within the environment in which we operate. So this gives us a possibility of understanding. In the company, when I say, it is not just the marketing department, all the managers who formulate the plans, take into account the other groups that are also of importance, like the finance, the R&D, purchasing, and accounting and manufacturing. All of them have a role to play with respect to the quality and the various aspects of the form or the utilities that the product or the service generates for the market. In that particular sense, all these groups constitute the company's inner environment. And the planners have to think of all this. In addition to this, the suppliers who are providing us the raw materials that we process in order to be able to offer a type of product or service to our end users, they are an important link in the delivery system. They provide the necessary resources and help us to meet our goals. They have substantial effect on the performance. For example, the various changes that are likely to take place in course of our activity, they like the price changes, the availability, the supply shortages, or if there are labor strikes happening elsewhere, similar sort of other events also interfere indirectly in fulfillment of our own objectives and goals. So in that particular sense, the well-being of our suppliers and their performance are also equally important for us. We will be talking about a different aspect about the suppliers a little later. But next to this is the intermediaries. Marketing intermediaries are naturally firms that are working in tandem with our company or our firm in promoting, selling, and distributing our goods or services to the end user. So they probably include all these sorts of supply chain. There are of different channels that we could talk about, to one, two level channels, 4-level channels, and so on, where they include middlemen, physical distribution firms, marketing services, and financial intermediaries as well. Middlemen of the business firms that help the company find customers and close our sales for the organization. So in that particular sense, the physical distribution naturally assists our company and helps in stocking our materials. So it is not only the what do you call them? Warehousing, forwarding and clearing agents, wholesalers, distributors, retailers, and so on and so forth. This is going to be our supply chain of intermediaries, right? So they happen to be a very important link in this aspect. And other aspects of this, like the financial intermediaries, as I was mentioning, are also important because certain times we are subjected to the vagaries of the nature. Say, for example, some material may be subjected to theft or certain natural disasters. And therefore, insurance, organizations like insurance companies have to play a major role. Bankers have to lend us credit in order to, keep our money under circulation. So all these, they are all part of the intermediaries who help us in seeing that our goods and services can be serviced to the end user. Okay. Having said this, we also have customers who are the most important. Customer is the king. Okay. And the customer probably can be classified based on the type of products or things that we deal with. Say, for example, there are markets like consumer markets, industrial markets, reseller markets, or government markets and international markets. So customers or the markets that we deal with can change with respect to the tastes and preferences that they are, and these are likely to be subjected to fluctuations with the changing styles, trends, and the situations and circumstances that go with it. So in that particular sense, we probably are also looking at individual customers who we wish are brand loyal, and we wish that they continue with us and on a regular basis. So we keep track of all these markets and the customers, their wants, and try to catch those opportunities, marketing opportunities. And we cannot afford to neglect any of their preferences, which could finally be disastrous for the growth or functioning of the firm that we are interested in. In addition to this, competitors also play a major role, because it is not only assessing ourselves, understanding our own capabilities, but what competitors do is also important for us, so that we identify, monitor, and probably try to maneuver the new features or the new attributes that the competitors are trying to attract the customers whom we have been relying on. So in order to avoid such switching of customers, our loyal customers, to that of our competitors, we have to not only keep track of our own activities, but also keep track of what others are doing, and find such niche markets which is probably not so well addressed by others, and have a lead for our own activities. In that sense, we can develop our marketing strategies competitive to gain competitive advantage over the market conditions. Right? In that particular sense, we have to know our competitive advantage is naturally to gain superiority or distinctive competence in the market. Right? So that the customers are comfortable and they feel that their needs are much better satisfied in this particular context. And when we come to the environmental aspect, having talked about this, I would also show you the other
Grammarly is
slide.
a digital writing assistant.
You can see this in this particular fashion: the microenvironment, the company, suppliers, marketing intermediaries, competitors, public, and the customers. Right? Public, you can take it as general. That is the environment around us. Okay, the climate or the public is one that we could talk about. So now coming to what is macro environment, the environment that I am trying to talk about, in which the other players like the company, competitors, intermediaries, end users, and the suppliers have been functioning, are functioning in an environment which is demographic, which has economic tendencies, which has natural effects, technological, political, cultural. They are influenced by all these factors. Not only this, also legal. So, psychological. So these are all factors that are likely to influence the functioning of various elements within the marketing circuit, which we are interested in. Now, having said this, some of these demography is nothing but, if I try to distinguish my market or my clientele either by gender or by age or by income or by region or by nationality or by the weather, okay, south, geological, these are all certain features based on which we try to classify certain requirements, where needs are likely to be different based on this. As we discussed earlier, even in a toy making company, the toys are made for a particular set of people, for people within the age group of 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 10, or similar sort of things. So based on certain understanding that they have been making these products of size that is necessary for the type of clientele that is meant for. Okay. So similarly, the economic environment, inflation, the type of situation that is going on, the living standards of people, the the various other the taxation laws, the various other things that go on naturally influence the buying capacity of the people or the customers and the buying habits of the people as well. In addition to this, there are several natural things, as we said, the cultural as well as the social norms and other things also influence marketing. As we said, we are interested if to satisfy our hunger, we are interested in a particular type of food. Somebody in a different place, far away, probably doesn't even know that such a sort of food exists, right? Their the way they satisfy their hunger is a different way. So these are bound by such psychological, social, cultural sort of a things that we grow in. Similarly, technological. There are several things that are happening that the technological environment can change. As we were talking about Nokia, Nokia did not change their operating system. So it had to fall back in competition. And others have taken lead. Till such time, Nokia was the leader. Similarly, Bata is said to be one of the past producer of footwear in India and elsewhere. But suddenly, the focus of the organization has been shifted to a different high-level segment, in which it has probably lost focus on its main market. And though it still continues with its brand of hush puppies and others, but it has suffered losses. A successful company at one point of time suffered losses during the end of last century, right? And still making, but we see that there are several brands that have come in because of one particular. Earlier, it was only Bata, and there was another company, probably you're aware, called Corona, and it doesn't exist. I don't see them much, but many local players were active at that particular point of time. In addition to this, there are political changes. Political instability also affects the marketing aspects, and the political will also changes the various ways of operations of business. You see, till some point of time, the place that we are in, before the bifurcation of this particular combined state of Andhra Pradesh, the progress of various districts was so very different compared to what it is now. Telangana is very progressive today. And in Andhra, things seem to not be working out so well. Organization seems to be shying away from investing in that particular area. Earlier, it was so well progressive. But somehow, there was some such sort of uncertainty in the minds of the corporate world. So not much is happening with respect to the investments in that particular area. So political activities do change. In addition to this, the laws that are enforced also influencing the type of industries. Let me give you an example. At one point of time, close to Warangal is a place called Chandrapur, Maharashtra. And that is very famous for cement industry. There's a lot of limestone available. And there's also, the minerals are available there. And limestone, Krishna and Nalgonda districts of earlier Andhra Pradesh were also had the best of limestone belt available here. So there are many cement companies in this particular area. and the cement is packed in the sacks. Jute sacks were considered to be, the organizations, the companies thought that jute bags, they had an experience that jute bags, packing their cement in jute bags, finally, every bag of cement should weigh 50 kilos. But by the time this jute bag was reaching the customer, there was loss or pilferage of cement through the pores that it had. So the company started making use of the woven sacks, the plastic woven sacks, which were more available in the border area of Chandrapur. And some of the organizations or entrepreneurs started making these woven sacks in Andhra Pradesh as well, in Karimnagar, for the Fertilizer Corporation of India at Ramagundam as well. But unfortunately, the tax position came in the way. Those who are selling on central sales tax was 4%, whereas the state sale tax was close to 9%, 7.5% to 9%. So the difference of that 5% was making all the difference while bidding for the tenders. So the local entrepreneurs were at a disadvantage of supplying the woven sacks to the local cement industry and the other industry that was using these sacks for packaging. So political influence on such sort of matters do affect the functioning of organizations. Of course, cultural, they have their own, things. When we see this, our cultural sort of activities, I have to give you an example which I don't like to in normal sense. But when we see, we had one of our alumnus who was from the first batch, who had a family business in our Warangal industrial estate. It is called Farooq Industries. They make coat buttons and other products out of the animal waste. Most of these items are dealt by a particular community of people. In this particular business, it is found that Muslims are mostly operating these activities. And it is 100% export oriented unit. I tell you, it is a very innovative but low technology operation. What he does is, he gathers the animal horns from the slaughterhouse and the bones from the slaughterhouse. And the animal horn is the animal horn. It is something like this arc that we have shown here with the demographic, economic, natural sort of a thing, but tapered. Okay, it's like a conical sort of a thing which is curved in this sense. So he chooses the middle part of it and cuts both the ends. And the bottom end, which is attached to the head of the animal, is normally hollow. So he removes the hollow portion and also the narrow portion at the top. And the middle portion, he puts it onto a circular saw and makes it into a pyramid sort of a raw material, which he turns it on a lathe and finally cuts them with equal thickness. And these are supposed to become round coat buttons. And he polishes them on a buffing machine and dips them in kerosene and uses a glass plate with a light underneath to identify the color of these buttons. He has identified close to about 11 different textures of these animal horns. And he procured a machine to drill holes, 4 holes in the coat button. to be soon on the courts in the market abroad. But unfortunately, there was a lot of wastage happening in making these holes in the button. So he finally discarded making holes. He started only producing blank coat buttons, which are being exported abroad. I tell you, there is no wastage in this organization. The hollow portion that I was talking to you about, he polishes them and sends it to handicrafts people, which are normally put with some brass at the bottom and made as wall hangings for flowers, for putting flowers and so on. At times you would have seen that seashells are also decorated with certain stands, with 3 stands, and that is the top of the horn, which is made as a stool for the seashell and similar sort of things. And the turnings that come out of this machining of this product is used as manure. Okay, it is used as fertilizer in the agriculture. But the difficulty here is acquiring the animal horns. So he sources these materials from far off places as far as Rajasthan and far in the north, and he gets a different variety of buttons. In course of time, he realized that there is a luxury in animal horns, in the sense people would like to make use of cutlery with animal horn handles. The spoons, forks, and knives with animal horns have great value in the market. So, out of the waste material, after having made his coat buttons, he started making use of that material for making these handles for the spoons, forks, and cutlery. In addition to this, he also realized that animal spectacle frames are very expensive. So he started molding these animal horns. Now he cut them into slices and started molding them by heating into a spectacle frame blank. And he was again exporting this. In addition to this, he also realized that certain animals develop disease in their gallbladder by eating certain plants or so, and they get infected. And there is something called a gallstone that gets developed in their bladder, for which the animal becomes very weak, and the slaughterman can easily identify this animal. And these people of Farooq Industries started gathering this gallstone, which is used in the pharmaceutical industry. A gram of it costs more than 500 rupees at that particular point of time. So they were gathering such. So it was another diversified activity. Added to this, the government has also placed a policy not to use ivory as scales on instruments or any other purpose, because elephants were being targeted for the sake of the ivory tusks. So the same entrepreneur started collecting animal bones, sliced them and polished them to make white surface, which are engraved and calibrated to make scales for the instruments that are being made. See, out of the animal waste, he could come out with several products to be supplied not only in India but abroad as well. Such a small enterprise. The only difficulty for him is there is an insect. I have seen his godowns with sacks and sacks full of horns acquired from different parts of the country, stacked till the roof. His entire sheds were full of this. But there is an insect which drills a bore into the animal horn, which creates waste or damages the raw material. Except for that, everything was so useful for him. So why I tell you this is there are several things that play role in marketing activities as well. Let me introduce to you the marketing process that we are all interested in. Okay? Now, earlier we were thinking that we came from a level of where the layman's thought of marketing to be only selling and advertising or telling and selling to that of sensing and satisfying customer needs. If we can understand the consumer needs, develop products that probably can provide superior value to our customers, not only superior value, but at the price that they can afford, distribute and promote them effectively, then products will automatically sell well and easily. Okay, that reduces our marketing effort as well. Therefore, though, no, let us not belittle selling and advertising activity, but they are a set of marketing tools which help us to satisfy customer needs and build a relationship. They are not the whole, but a part of the entire activity of marketing. In this sense, we may probably now come to define marketing as a social and a managerial process by which not only individuals and organizations, they obtain what they need and want by creating and exchanging value with others. By building profitable, value-related exchange relationships. And here, now I wish to define the marketing activity in a different sense. It is the process by which organizations create value for customers and build strong customer relationships in order to capture value from customers in return. You can see this definition in the green lines. Create value for customers and build strong relationship and partnership in order to capture value from customers in return. That is on the other side of the vertical line. Here, we can probably divide this definition into 5 different steps. 4 of them are with respect to creating value and customer relationship or building relationships. And the final is reaping the benefits of the effort that we have been associated with. Firstly, the first and foremost of the 4 steps on the left is we try to understand the marketplace. We try to understand the needs and wants of the customer. How do we do this? Yeah. Studying, we survey. We take up a survey to identify what is needed in the market. Not only what is needed in the market, what is being offered in the market as of now. How is this particular need being met today? In how many different ways is this particular need being met? So that it helps us in formulating our own design. It helps us to come up with an idea to differentiate ourselves from that of the existing products or services or from the competitors. How am I different? What is it that is different that is being offered? And how is it more useful? And what can it do much more than what others have been doing? How can we afford this? And what benefits does it offer? So we can answer several such sort of questions once we try to understand the various customers and their needs. And this is not a one-time activity. It is a lifelong activity for any organization. We are not living for today. We have to live for the times to come. So in order to be able to do that, every moment, with the changing style, with the changing trends, with the changing nature, with the changing political environment, with the changing, technological situations, everything that is changing, everything is dynamic outside. The environment in which we are operating is so dynamic that we cannot afford to be static. So we have to be continuously be monitoring what's happening around us and take a lead to modify the products that we wish to offer or we have been offering already and make a change in our strategy. How do we do this? Having known that these are the various needs that exist, we can probably also see what are all the various segments that a marketing strategy involves. And having identified different people, different markets, different possibilities, we have to define where we fit in best. So, having decided this, then we probably come up with an integrated marketing program so that we would be able to create some value. When we are bound by several other restrictions or the dynamic environment all around us, there is little that we probably can do. Then what can a marketer do is a question. This is called the marketing mix. So we come up with something called a marketing program where the marketing manager has control on. Well, people seem to be logging out. It's time. Any questions so far? Hello?
No, sir.
Anything? If no questions, anything for discussion? Well, in the next class, we will complete the marketing process and also try to come up with certain tools that are of great use for analyzing the various situations of marketing. Okay? So, shall we call it a day now? Okay, thank you.